So I picked up this snare drum today at a flea market. It's an old Slingerland 140 ribbed aluminum student model snare drum, 8 lug, 5x14. There were lots of these made, similar to the Acrolite. It's the Ludwig student version. We all know how great that sounds. And this drum sounds great too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up. I'll show you the insides. And it used the rapid strainer. We'll show you that real quick. And this strainer was prone to fail if the little rubber pieces here came out. So it's stiff. You have to do this to get it to go on. So I'll fix that. It's a little bit scratched up. Lighting's not great in here, but it's all functional. It's got all its lugs, all the tension rods, the originals. And it's a great drum. It also had one stick, must have been a one-handed student drummer, and the original Buddy Rich practice pad. The brown pad, the Gladstone copy. And the original heads, which is pretty interesting, not in good shape. We got a hard hitter here. And the original bottom head, which is in good shape. And the original snares. But obviously not the original string here. So we'll fix that. So a lot of times these student model snares took a beating, pun intended, and they weren't in great shape. Every once in a while you'll find one in mint condition that came out of a music store, but I have a few of these. They really sound good. It's a different sound, very dry sound. And like I said, these were made in the 60s. I have several Slingerland catalogs. They're in there, I think up until 79, maybe. I'm not positive about that. It's got the gold patch here. And the serial number, we'll zoom in on that. I believe that's 69, that serial number. Let's see if we can zoom in. I'll trace it, but it's hard to see it. Anyway, I'll take it apart, clean it, and then play it for you. And I'll compare it to another Slingerland student model snare drum. That's brass, chrome over brass, that you've seen me play, a Sound King, or the Krupa Sound King. And then also an Acrolite. So we'll be back. Also, I did want to show you the case real quick. This case is in great shape and super useful. And these things were tough. And it also has a little compartment for the stand and the sticks and the music stand. A lot of times I will line these with felt. I'll find at a craft store. And then use them to transport my good snare drums. And this has got a label, the keynote. Newport News, Virginia. I've been there. So these cases are wonderful. And some of you asked me how much the drum costs. I'll tell you, I got it for $20. Quite the deal. It's probably from an estate sale. Yeah, but these cases are basically fantastic if you can find them. They're super tough. And I have a few. But you will definitely need to line it with felt. A couple layers. That's how these rims got scratched all to hell here from hitting these metal pieces. Not a lot of thought on someone's behalf here. So it's the next day and I cleaned the drum up. It came out great. You see here. Still dirty, but I got a lot of the scratches out of the rims. And, you know, for the money, the $20 I spent, can't beat that. So remember, these drums were not expensive. They were the cheapest drums that Slingerland made. And even though they're the cheapest drums that Slingerland made, they're still good drums. All the parts are good. If you compare that to the cheapest drums made today, a lot of things come from overseas, which are complete garbage. These are way, way, way better. So what I'm going to do is adjust the stand a little bit. I'm going to play it. I put a Remo-coated ambassador on the top. I kept the original bottom snare head, which was pretty much, you know, in great condition. So I'm not going to mess with that. And this strainer, like we talked about, still needs a little bit of work, but I got it functioning. So. So I have this jazz kit set up because I got some sessions coming up and they specify they wanted an older Gretsch set, which I have here. These are the Centennials. I have some really, really thick calf heads on here. See how dry those are? It's a specific kind of sound. Good for Latin stuff. And of course my old Ks, and I added a large flat ride here. Old Masterworks flat ride with the old camber rivet system on here. Great cymbal. Masterwork makes some great ride cymbals, especially flat rides and chinas. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the strum for you along with let's see what I got here. Yeah, an Acrolite, which was the Ludwig version of a student drum, also aluminum. And then we'll put up a Slingerland Sound King, which was a step above this drum in their catalogs. So if you look back at the 1969 or 70 catalog, you'll see both these drums in there. That Sound King is also called the Gene Krupa Sound King. All right, and it's a brass drum. I featured that a lot. That is pretty much one of my gigging drums. I take that out and do gigs with it. I would definitely do gigs with this this 140 here, this aluminum drum. It's a great sounding drum. For the money, you can't beat it. You find them online all the time, and you see them, you know, for under $200. Probably if you look today, you'll find one. A lot of times they're in those cases, which is a great deal too, because those cases are great. Now I'll try a little muffling on it. Let you see what that sounds like. Good drum, fat sounding, fast sounding. The only thing I'll say about it is you can't tune it up real high. It actually doesn't go really high with the way that the lugs and the tension rod system works. All the ones I've tried anyway, and I've tried about 3 or 4 of these. This is my favorite one though, right now, because I just got it. All right, so, but you see it's pretty tight right now. Probably around a G, maybe. Somewhere around there an A. I haven't checked it, but it sounds to be like a G or G sharp. Normally I tune these drums anywhere between an F sharp and an A, the 5x14s. Okay, so you've heard this. Let's put this down now and put up the Acrolite. And I'll take this muffling off. I'll play both drums without the muffling and then with. So this is a 1960s Acrolite matte finish, great drum. All right, I've shown you these in many, many videos here. The Acrolite is a great rock drum, great everything drum, good all-round drum, and cheap. So when my students ask me what snare should I buy, I don't have a lot of money, I always say a 400, which is the Superphonic, or an Acrolite if they have even less money. Although these things in recent years have gotten really expensive. I'm going to switch this up here. All right, so the first thing that I feel from it is a little more sensitive, but it's also a little thinner sounding. The Slingerland sounds a little thicker to me. I'll see how it sounds in the control room. I have not recorded both these drums and compared them like I'm doing today. The rolls are a little bit easier, and it's got more of a ring. Although both these drums are incredibly dry for metal drums, but they are aluminum. So now we'll do a little bit of muffling. Very light little leather muffle here. Good drum, not real loud, so it's a good drum for soft gigs as well. If you could ever find a 6.5 by 14 Acrolite, that is a great rock drum. So you could look for those, as well as the Superphonic 6.5 drum. All right, so it sounds great as usual. I'm very much used to this drum. The cross rim click is really good. So they are very, very similar, with the Slingerland being a little bigger sounding to my ears. We'll see when we get in there. And finally, turn this off. This is the Sound King. Much heavier drum. Brass, okay? Chrome over brass. This is a beautiful one. Basically mint condition. New old stock. And this Zoomatic strainer was prone to all kinds of problems. Back in the day, if you read the catalog, they said the most advanced strainer ever. Not, okay? But I have a video on how to fix these if you look back, if you look up the Slingerland Sound King. So this is a 5 by 14. So right away you'll notice for the rim shots a really broader and more pronounced ring that's higher pitched. So this drum also is tuned similar to the others, right around the G to the A area, but it is a little bit louder, and it's got to have more ring because of the brass. A very fast sounding drum, good response. So one of my favorite snare drums that isn't expensive at all. So that's the Slingerland Sound King. If you buy one, make sure it's in good shape. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with these drums, especially this brass, which is really thin around the strainer here. Over time, it gets pushed in. Now, I have a video on how to repair this where I show you how to take out the dents, so I'll reference it here. Okay, so I don't use any internal muffling, by the way, none of that. But I do use exterior muffling, but normally I don't use it on this drum because it's got a real controlled ring. With the others, not so much. So we'll put this Sound King back on there. Sorry, not Sound King, the 140. Let me hold these up so you can see. So the Slingerland's here and the Acrolite's here. Very, very similar. They're just about the same weight, the Slingerland being a little bit heavier. I believe the rims are heavier. And I think these are the Stick Saver hoops. They're the rounded over hoops, so I believe they're the same as the Sound King. I'm not positive about that. All right, so I'll play a little more unmuffled. Seem to be having some problem with my snare drum stand. I'll fix that later. And we'll see you next time.